listening to the RM Podcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to another episode. I'm not alone. I'm not alone this week. I'm here with myself and my other friends, the normal new host. There he is. He's had 2 cigars. He can't handle it tonight. And, okay, I guess I am by myself. I'm all alone, yet again. I can't depend on them to do nothing. Uh-oh. I think there's mic troubles already.
Uh-oh.
You think it's it
Michael?
is. It's not on. Sean can't be heard.
Why
Keith.
is Sean's mic not on? What did you do?
He skipped out on 1 week,
And you
I'm
fired
telling you,
him?
and the Indians, they just came in and they took the power of his voice.
I missed the same week. I did comment though. We were actually.
I think it's on the end of the microphone. I
Uh-oh.
think you got to click it in there.
It's-
It
It won't
is?
wiggle. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Technical difficulties.
We're gonna try to get this set up. It seems like I guess they wanted to come in and they said you ain't speaking this week. Oh, there it is.
I'm getting a lot of static.
Is that it?
There
It's
it
on.
is.
It's
Yeah,
on.
I think that maybe that was the static I was hearing as you messing with it.
Is that
We had a
really?
power outage here at Red Moon this week.
What?
It
And I
broke
think
it.
that might have been
It
it.
broke it.
Power outages tend to do that with technology.
Yeah.
Gotta love it. But Sean, we are glad to have you back.
I'm glad to be back.
Our normal new host, back from Alabama, having a good family vacation.
Family.
Sweet home, Alabama.
Sweet home.
It's not my
Alabama.
home, but
And Keith back from the
Alabama.
Magical Kingdom.
Florida.
Didn't you have a couple stories you wanted to tell us
I'm
about
back-
the Magical
back
Kingdom?
Well, it's
Florida.
mostly just Cocoa Beach. I only went to Magic Kingdom in Orlando the one day, but no, it was fun. It was just, it's one of those things where I told you yesterday. I appreciate the innovation and everything Walt Disney created and what's left of his vision.
Yeah.
But then all the woke nonsense that they've implemented since then is
No.
just stupid.
Yeah.
really?
Yeah,
In the free
so-
state of Florida?
In the free, well, because
I know, isn't
Disney
that
is
the shame?
it's a state. Well, actually, that was Walt Disney's goal, was to make it its own city once upon a time that never panned out.
Yeah.
And thankfully,
here's the thing: if Disney World had been its own municipality,
yeah.
do you think it still would have been one of the wokest cities?
Oh heck, well, maybe not while Walt Disney was alive, but definitely now.
Now, yeah.
And that's like I said. I'm glad I went when I did to see what's left of Disney's vision, because they're slowly degrading over time. I mean, they've changed rides to make them more culturally appropriate and less offensive,
gosh.
and I mean, they just. All the rules they have now are overtly ridiculous. I sent a picture to both of you all. When you first get in, I mean, you have the gates and the ticket booths, but I mean, the whole park is surrounded by a lagoon. Like, you can't get into the actual park without either riding a monorail into it or going on this boat, this ferry across the lagoon into it. Once you've like scanned your tickets and all that. But the problem is, because of COVID, regardless of whether you're vaccinated or not, if you don't have a mask, you can't get on the monorail. So instead, they're going to pack you into this boat like a can of sardines, where you're shoulder to shoulder with these windows, because
Hey,
the boat's outside.
that's it.
Even
Yeah.
though there's really just these windows
You
with
got the open
openings.
air.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
So I'm like, how is this any better? It's not.
It's
I
not.
mean, I cough, I'm going to cough right on top of somebody. They're going to catch the COVID.
Right.
Which not for me, because I'm vaccinated. But it doesn't matter that I'm vaccinated. I
Not
didn't
anymore.
I didn't have a mask.
now there's the Delta
You
variant.
don't have to have a mask because of the open air, but yet there's colleges that are making their athletes wear masks outside.
Oh, that's
Like-
been
Well, you
going on.
know.
That's been going on since last year.
But what is that?
Doc-
yeah,
well,
It's
Dr.
either that or
Fauci-
you're going to have to get vaccinated.
Dr. Fauci
Yeah.
just argued with Rand Paul that the vaccine is very effective against the Delta variant, yet another presser said that children as young as 3 need to still wear masks because of how dangerous the Delta variant is.
Well, because
so I don't know which
again,
one
they
it is.
can't get the vaccine.
So
Not yet,
they're
not
not
yet.
able to get the vaccine,
but
so they have to
not
wear
just
masks.
children, everybody. He said everybody needs to wear it because of the Delta
No,
variant.
I think he's strictly
It's
specifically
six
talking
times-
about 3
it's
years
6 times
old.
more. What are they? The virility or whatever is 6 times greater than COVID.
Yeah.
Like, it's you're able to get the Delta variant much more easily than COVID. So,
But
according to the science,
again, and we're not. I don't want to go off on a political rant.
We already
but
did.
We did. I know, and it's just the what's
Disney's
ridiculous
fault.
is, yeah, you. we're blaming
I just
Disney.
wanted. I mean, I just wanted to be able to get in their park. You know.
Well, and it's funny because you really can say it is Disney's fault in terms of depending on how restrictive they were, because they are in easily one of the freest states in the country when
Well,
it comes to restrictions
you
regarding
can't
COVID.
meet any of the characters like personally. Like they have them on floats.
Which I
riding around
loved
the
how
park.
you described this.
And it's
too.
funny 'cause,
it's
you
kind of
know,
stupid because aren't they wearing huge suits?
They have these
Yeah.
suits, and it's like, well, those don't. It's like I don't how. I mean, I don't know if they have a mask on under the suit too, because that just tells me that's. I figured
wow, they
Disney,
would
you know,
die.
they should. They probably would because I mean, they burn
Just
up
like
in those
those
things
athletes.
anyways. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not a scientist, but I do go by logic, and it's
Common sense.
some things just don't make sense. They don't add up. But
yeah.
Well, I think that's the
it
problem.
wasn't. I mean, it wasn't a terrible.
Common sense is not allowed anymore.
It wasn't
it
a
will
bad
be
experience.
deemed misinformation.
I did
and
love.
So you can't have common sense anymore.
Yes, I did love, like I said, all the things that like Haunted Mansion was absolutely amazing. Like I mean, it's definitely worth the hype it gets. Pirates of the Caribbean was fun. Even Dumbo, the ride was really cool. The way they do the line, you get in line, and then you get inside this big tent, and they have this whole play area for the kids, and they give you like a restaurant pager. And your kids just play in there, and when it goes off, it's your turn to go get on the ride. And then
Oh,
you
that's
go.
nice.
That's
That
really
is
cool.
really
Yeah,
amazing.
that's
Yeah, that's cool.
innovative. I'm like, I wish Disney was that innovative everywhere else.
And
but
they have drag queens reading stories to them, right?
Yes.
well, no, but not.
That-
but I'm
oh,
sure it'll
that's
come
at-
one day.
That's at Epcot.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's a part of their new
Yeah.
diversity and
Yeah.
inclusion initiative.
Not in the Magic
part of the
Kingdom.
way of the future.
Not in, yes.
The way of the future.
The way of the
With
future.
Way of the future.
So it's just one of those things where like I do greatly appreciate the original vision from Walt Disney and the magic that's still there, but everything else that Disney's doing to degrade and to tear it apart
I
is
have to
very
believe,
sad.
just like Peter Pan believed in Tinkerbell, that the magic exists and it will exist to its grandest extent for the years to come as the woke culture erodes and we find
Well,
out the lunacy of
yeah.
most involved. Because
Oh,
we,
yeah.
we've seen in so many
We've
cases
seen Coke, Warner
how
Brothers,
fragile,
they're starting to back off.
how fragile it is to the point of you just got to stand up to the people. You just have to have people who have the balls to say no.
Yeah.
And these corporations who control a lot of this, that's the ridiculous nature of it. And look no further than Hollywood. I mean, Hollywood is king of this whole preaching preaching to the choir, so to speak, with regards to getting up on their bully pulpit when they accept awards or when they come out and tweet massive statements of, oh, we're speaking on the Me Too movement, or in response to this, we must protect these endangered species or the climate and the environment, blah, 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 all the virtue signaling that goes on in Hollywood. It just continues to drown out what they're really supposed to do, which is be an entertainer.
Yeah.
And I sadly think that people are just getting tired of it. It's every day. You got to fight it. You
Yeah.
got to fight it.
Yeah.
But I really do hope and believe that this kind of stuff just can't last. It's just not.
Let's make sure that we're just being entertainers.
You're
as
right.
well.
What
I mean,
should
Jacob,
we do
Jacob
about
points
that?
out, he's like, come on, I just wanted to hear stories of Keith drunk on the teacups.
Well,
He
you
doesn't
can't
want
do
the
that.
political
You'll get kicked.
stuff.
You get kicked.
and
They
he
have
wants-
rules.
Are
You can't cuss.
They do.
damn it, Disney!
Yeah. You
Why can't you get drunk on the teacups?
You can't wear anything
What's the
vulgar
point?
or
Like a Trump shirt.
Inappropriate,
That
or
would've
they can
definitely
ask you to leave even though all the women there are barely wearing clothes. That's not inappropriate. Just certain things that probably
Yeah.
And they like to move your crap on you. Like they have these designated like stroller parking areas because when you can't when you get in line you can't take the stroller with you, so you have to get your kids out of the stroller because you're
Yeah.
not allowed wagons. They're too big. That might
I get
prevent
that.
people.
I get that.
It's crowded. Disney's very
Yeah,
crowded.
yeah.
So they have these areas for you to put your stroller, but they're not always clear on what. It just says stroller parking, but they do have designated spots for handicapped people that have these little scoot around wheelchairs they can rent. That you can't take those in line too. So you drive your motorized wheelchair up there, and then you get up and I guess walk in line. I don't know. I mean,
I will say
Disney expects you
What
to
do you
not be
mean
crippled for long.
They move.
If you put your stroller in the wrong place, you come out of the ride and it's gone, and all your crap's missing. You're like, where the hell did my crap go? And then you have to find it in this designated area. Yeah, and then sometimes they have people there. It's like, we're sorry, nobody told you that that's not where it goes. It's like, okay, but you could, if you're
I
here.
want to know who touched it though.
They're the workers. They have these workers. That's all they do is they move this stuff. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
but
okay.
couldn't you just be? Don't touch my stuff. You could have COVID.
I thought the same thing, but if
Here-
you put it in the wrong spot, they get to
Here's
move
what
it.
I don't understand.
But my thing
they
is,
have a designated spot to put this stuff for you to come find it
Right.
later, but they can't just stick that person by that area and
No.
say,
well, no,
hey,
it's in the
watch
same
this
area.
stuff.
It's not like
But
it's
that's
a
what I'm
designated.
saying.
It's,
Why?
it's
why
never
move it?
It's never far. It's just that's not where it goes. So instead of the person being there to say it doesn't go there, it goes here, they just come along and move it later. It's
But
like, okay,
you would think that they would at least
Wow.
move it to the area it's supposed to be in, and then direct you to that area after you get off. That would be the courteous
Yeah.
thing
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
yeah.
Not just leave you wondering where the hell did
Where'd
my
my
stuff
crap go?
Right.
Yeah, yeah. And then they
Jeez.
get kind of rude with you about it, and it's like, I'm sorry that, like, because here's the thing. I know there's people that go to like that veteran Disney like annually. Some people aren't that rich. We're poor. We came to Disney once in a lifetime. We don't understand
Right.
how the dang stroller parking works.
See, I was telling Keith this too. I was like, the last time I went, I was probably like 6 or 7, and I actually it kind of sucked because it was like I forget the 25th, 50th anniversary, one of those, and they had the castle dressed like a cake, and I remember
It would have been
thinking
the
to myself,
25th because this year's
Okay.
the 50th. Yeah.
So yeah, it's the 25th anniversary was when we went, and it was my only time, and I was excited. I couldn't sleep the night before,
Yeah.
and I will say, other than I remember it being bloody hot,
yes.
and most of the rides I could not ride because I was too little, which I thought was funny because
That's-
I'm like,
they don't have. Yeah. There's
There-
only a few rides
there was
that
like
have
Space Mountain.
Yeah.
There was one other one that I
Thunder
couldn't
Mountain,
ride.
but most of them like Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean.
no,
most of
those
them
were,
are,
those
yeah,
I
yeah.
rode. Those I rode. But also the other
They
thing
say, there's
too that
very
I remember,
few that have height limitations.
and maybe they've gotten this more correct over the
Mm-hmm.
course of the years, was the long lines. I remember us only being able to ride
no.
a few things just
Yeah.
because of the long
The
lines.
only thing that handles that brilliantly was the Dumbo ride. Everything else is like
still long.
they're. I mean, most of them
But
an
here's
hour
well,
or less.
but here-
I mean,
I will
that
say
wasn't
this
too,
too.
It wasn't
No.
too bad.
But I will say the rides that made it like Pirates.
Mhm.
What's the log flume?
that's Splash Mountain.
Splash Mountain. That
Yeah.
was amazing.
Yeah.
Those rides are worth it just because they take their time and they actually are. I would say at least I would have to venture 15, 20 minutes.
Well, Haunted
long.
Mansion's a long ride.
It's
but it's fun.
actually worthwhile. And Haunted Mansion was awesome.
Here's the thing. I don't mind the lines because you're always moving. Like, unlike Kentucky Kingdom or Kings Island or somewhere like that where you're standing there for minutes on end and then you move
Yeah.
and then you stand, they do have it perfectly worked out the way, like, everything's... I mean, this is the way all theme parks are supposed to be, but only Disney I've seen actually implement it properly, where the amount of carts and rides that are constantly going, you're
Yes.
constantly getting on and off.
Oh,
so the
good.
line, like, it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, you're like, this is a 50-minute wait, but you, like, walk like the whole time like you're getting up there. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
this ain't too bad because I don't feel like I'm just standing here like, oh my god.
I've never been to Disney, but I've been to Universal Studios,
Mm-hmm.
and that's exactly how Universal Studios
Yeah.
was. Like we were in line for over an hour to do King Kong,
Yeah.
but we were
It didn't
constantly
feel quite like that.
yeah. When we did Earthquake,
and
we
maybe,
were
I mean,
constantly moving
Being
through the
huge
subway.
theme park attractions and studios like Universal and Disney that know these people are coming for our properties, maybe they do make sure they have that down pat because it's like we want to make sure we get these people in and out. They're paying
Yeah.
hundreds of dollars.
Well,
I
and truth
mean,
be told, I do want to go back. I mean, I know you're supposed to do like a whole week to visit all the
yeah, if you want to see
kingdoms,
everything, you have to go for a week.
But I'm just like, I do want to see the Hollywood studios.
Hollywood Studio. That's the one
from
I'd like to.
Disney.
Well, I
That
hear
would be
Epcot's
awesome.
amazing, so I do want to see that too.
Jacob wanted to know if the Hall of Presidents is still there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just missing one.
Yeah.
I think it is because actually they introduced. I just saw an article where they introduced the Biden animatronic this week,
Oh yeah.
and it's supposed to premiere at the end of August.
Yeah.
Apparently.
No, Hall of
What does
Presidents.
it
I
do?
don't-
is
Like
there.
fumble all over the.
he got his speech down right.
It's like
He actually just he sits there and his eyes are closed. He's sleeping all the time.
They're like,
It's
that
like
one's
you
not-
were-
that one's not working.
you
No,
re-
it is.
you replace Biden
It's
with the
working
animatronic
perfectly.
and nobody knows the difference.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Their animatronics are almost that good.
That was pretty
like
good.
You know exactly where your Disney money's going because those animatronics are scary good. Like their eyes move realistically.
messed up.
Yeah, they're creepy.
It is creepy.
Yeah.
Like I remember that.
I mean,
on
it's
the
really
Pirates
well
ride,
done.
and I thought that was
Yeah.
amazing. But it's worth at least one visit. I'd like to go back. I will say,
definitely.
but
I mean, I was
as the
knocking
day
s-
went on, it rained and it cooled off, and
Yeah.
then it actually, as the shower passed, we went out, and it was actually a beautiful rest of the evening because
Mm-hmm.
most people left, and then they did have a parade at the end of the night, which was awesome.
Yeah,
And
they usually do
I do
parades
have
and
fond memories
fireworks,
of
yeah.
that. It was pretty sweet.
It is like I'm not as the adult half of me didn't appreciate some of the dumb decisions that were made, but the inner kid in me did love it. I mean, there are good things. Like I wasn't trying to knock Disney. I just think it's kind of funny how they have all these rules to maintain the magic, but then it's their own stupidity that kind of breaks that magic for people because they're so caught up on making sure they enforce these rules that they're kind of being a-holes about it. And it's like, okay, well now you're doing the exact
well,
opposite.
you
of
had
what
mentioned
wanted to
something
do.
about your niece crying.
Yeah, on Haunted Mansion, when you first go in, they close all the doors. It's pitch black. They have these portraits, and like the ghost starts talking to you. So she got scared at first and was crying, and me and Kyle were trying to get her to calm down. And the lady in the back yelling, "No talking while the ghost host is talking." It's like, okay, a-hole, but like the child's crying. We're trying to make sure she's okay.
I was gonna say, like,
I guess you're just supposed to let your child scream during
well,
the whole
it pisses
thing.
me
I don't
off because
know.
I'm like, it's Disney. It's
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
children.
Right,
You're
yeah.
gonna get children that
Well,
don't
they're-
immediately
They're
respond.
not employees; they're cast members, and she was playing because they're supposed to like the ride. Like she's supposed to be like this stern like maid, and it's like I get it, you're playing the role, but there's a time and place like when to play the role and when to know that okay, this child's really upset. Maybe we should be comforting, not an a-hole. But
True.
you know.
All
True.
right.
Alrighty, guys, that was our review of Disney World in 2021.
I recommend. Here's the thing: it's funny. We'll recommend things, but like spend most of the time bashing them. So people are like, "Did you really?" Yes, I really enjoyed it. It's easier sometimes to talk about the bad things than the good
This
things.
is what it's like being a 75-year-old in a 30-year-old body.
That's
okay?
right, yeah.
We're old
Critics.
curmudgeons.
Critics,
That's all we
we're
are.
supposed to criticize. That's
Yeah,
what
Yeah.
we
So
are the
no.
two puppets on a Muppet Show. That's all it is. We're the two old men. That's what we do.
Your child will love it. They'll see all the characters. The rides are fun. I mean, they legitimately are like really well done rides.
And it's
just yeah, it's going to cost you a lot of money.
But why not divert our attention from Disney to Looney Tunes?
Yeah, it's
Completely
Warner
different, but
Brothers.
hey, cartoons.
That's okay because we're going to get back to Disney later.
yeah, well, we will. We'll be talking about that with another Disney.
But
hit.
yeah, we'll talk about their direct rival, Warner Brothers and Looney Tunes. So yeah, let's get into that.
Here is our review of Yes, we promised it last week. I guess I did because I was all by my lonesome.
You were here.
I was here, but here is our review of Space Jam: A New Legacy.
"25 years ago, Warner Brothers brought audiences one of the most quintessential films of 90s pop culture. Space Jam, a film inspired by a series of Nike commercials starring Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny that ran through the 90s, was a shameless 88-minute ad that also featured Jordan and the entire Looney Tunes cast. With a sequel gestating off and on for the last 25 years, seeing talents such as Mel Brooks, Ivan Reitman, Jackie Chan, and Justin Lin all attached at one point in time, with various sports icons like Jeff Gordon, Tony Hawk, Tiger Woods, and Kobe Bryant all considered to be featured, it was Ryan Coogler and LeBron James that have finally delivered a Space Jam sequel, Space Jam: A New Legacy. Produced by Coogler and James and directed by Malcolm D. Lee, Space Jam: A New Legacy has come under a lot of fire from critics who claim the film is poorly written, poorly acted, and serves as mostly product placement and promotional material for Warner Brothers and LeBron James. They are, of course, absolutely correct about all of these points, none of which actually make the film as bad as they claim. After all, while loved by fans, the original Space Jam was also poorly written, acted, and served as mostly product placement. What the original film did well, and this film accomplishes too, is to highlight its star athlete's career and, of course, the Looney Tunes. Space Jam: A New Legacy has a plot with too much going on that is necessary for a Looney Tunes film, and LeBron James cannot act. But the film still has merit. This time around, Warner Brothers has chosen to highlight their entire catalog of film properties instead of just the Looney Tunes. And while critics call this shameless self-promotion, it's actually quite hilarious, and offers us the wit of the Looney Tunes crossed over with many of Warner's biggest franchises, such as the DC Universe and Harry Potter. It's hard to criticize a film for shameless self-promotion when the film makes brilliant self-aware jokes about shameless self-promotion. On the negative side, though, once we get past the introduction of the Looney Tunes and all of the crossovers involving them, the film fails to utilize Warner Brothers properties in any significant way again, making many of the background cameos pointless and unnecessary. The film is at its best anytime the Looney Tunes are being utilized on screen. Where the script falters is in how much it tries to cram into the story for no reason. With a 2-hour runtime versus the original's 88-minute runtime, the film does not utilize the extra time well. We are given a much longer setup to the plot in this film than the original had, but it's not a good thing. In fact, we do not even see the Looney Tunes until nearly 30 minutes into the film. While the crux of the plot revolving around LeBron James and his son definitely has more substance than the first film's plot that really only existed to ensure Jordan plays basketball with the Looney Tunes, everything else in the sequel is half-baked. And even the main villain, Al G. Rhythm, played by Don Cheadle, is rather forgettable. What Space Jam: A New Legacy ultimately delivers is a mixed bag that is in the end still entertaining. The story's main theme and plot does have more depth than its predecessor, and though many of the emotional scenes fall flat due to LeBron's blank expression in every scene, at least this film attempted emotion, and does have a good message. For all its faults, the film excels with the Looney Tunes, and the comedy around their antics make the film worth watching alone. Combine them with the story between LeBron and his son, and you get a movie that, just like the first, does two things well: showcase its star and the Looney Tunes. I give Space Jam: A New Legacy 2.5 out of 4 stars.
2.5 out of 4 stars for the sequel, Space Jam: A New Legacy.
Yeah, that's what I gave it.
I would agree with that.
I didn't hate it. I don't think, I mean, it's definitely got lots of bad things, but again, like I said, the thing the critics have bashed it for the most is it just being a movie that's nothing but product placement with bad acting, and it's like, well, that's basically all the first one literally only came to existence because of the Nike commercials with Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
And they thought, oh, we can make a whole movie off of this. So, I mean, on that thing, they're on par. But I do credit the first one for... There's a lot of things about the first one I like better than this. I told you I like the setup with the villain and his motivation way more in the first one. I just kind of felt like the villain in this one was kind of out of left field. Like, why is he doing this? Like, I just never felt there was a good enough reason. The first one didn't have a huge reason, but at least it was believable and simple enough to get the movie going. We didn't have to spend 2 hours on it. I like the aliens stealing the talent from the NBA players a lot better. I thought that was unique, and you got to see more of them and the other NBA stars, whereas this one, like, it was fine having them design them like based off of the real players, and you got to see a little bit of like Anthony Davis and the other players, but I just felt like they never... All the pieces were in this one, but I felt like they were never quite as fleshed out, and which is kind of sad because it's 2 hours long, whereas the first one was much shorter.
Agreed. Yeah, no. The runtime definitely hurt it for me. Not necessarily because it didn't have enough quality substance in there to flesh out a whole movie. I think it could have erred on the side of an hour and a half, and it would have been fine.
Yeah.
I think they took way too long in the beginning to set up the plot before you get into the Looney Tune world, even though the plot's not bad. I mean, yes, the terrible acting and the writing is not great.
LeBron is awful.
He's awful.
Yeah.
He had a couple moments with
I would
like
argue,
the dabbing. That was pretty
at
funny.
the end, towards the end of the film, when he finally says to the Looney Tunes, "You need to just be you," and do that. That's when he starts to kind of lighten up and dance and smile and
he actually
and
is
I felt like
himself.
he actually gave a little bit of a performance, but the rest of the movie was so dry
I told
that I
Keith-
thought Michael Jordan actually acted better than LeBron.
And that's saying something right
Yeah,
there.
because
Yeah,
he wasn't good
Jordan's pretty
either,
bad.
but still, at least
to me, what
Michael
did
Jordan
it-
changed his face up. LeBron always had the same
It's the
blank
same
stare.
face.
Well, I was gonna say like this. All of the sentimental moments in this were terrible.
Oh yeah.
Every single one
Yeah.
of them. I mean, LeBron can't fake
I
cry.
love you, son.
Yeah,
You can tell
when he
it's like-
hugs him and everything.
That was
It's
so
like, you
bad.
it's like you can tell it's not his son because he's sitting here like awkwardly, like
Yeah.
I don't know how
It's
to
like
hug
he
this
don't really
child.
want to be close to him.
No. And
But
his
no.
wife kept calling him LeBron.
LeBron.
She doesn't say honey or
Sugar.
She called
or
him
sugar.
Braun. She would just
She's
say
like,
Braun. Hey,
Come on, Braun. Hey,
Yeah.
Braun. Get the ball, Braun.
Yeah.
Go, Braun.
Even
And
her,
I'm just like,
she is
what?
actually not a bad actress, but she wasn't good in because
No, not in this, she
Sonequa
wasn't.
Martin Green, like she's been in Walking Dead and Star Trek Discovery, and she
Right.
does
Well,
fine.
and I
Yeah.
hate to say it, but the very beginning, and yeah, you're gonna knock me because I don't care. But it felt like a made for BET movie. I mean, I'm sorry, but the editing was just bad.
Yeah.
The acting was atrocious, and the writing was not a good setup.
Oh, let me-
Thankfully, once they get
Let me hold up.
once they get to the Toon World and they go into that atmosphere.
I want to nitpick something.
Okay, go
that
ahead,
I know
go
is a
ahead.
nitpick, but it bugged the hell out of me at the beginning of the movie because I'm a child of the '90s. When he hands him the Game Boy and he says,
Yes.
Here's my old Game Boy. My dad bought me the new color version."
Yeah.
Basically saying this one doesn't play color, and then he's playing the game, and they show the game in the background with color.
Color.
I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, we all know that can't. You just said that can't display color.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and that's something for the nerds to get upset about.
I know, but
and
it's
I
just-
I was
it just
too.
made
I
me
was
mad.
thinking the exact same thing though. I couldn't help it because I noticed the exact same thing.
It's even
And
worse that they
plus-
acknowledge though that it doesn't play color and then show it
Then
in
show
color.
it in color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, the way in which the whole beginning starts, it's just like
You're
with
a once in a
Michael
generation
and-
player.
just like Michael and his father, and he's out there playing basketball. It's like his mom, single mom, talking to him
but the
before he
moment
goes to
with
basketball
Michael and his dad was way more
practice.
sentimental. I mean, it was cliche and corny, but it was way more sentimental and well done than this. Like
Yeah.
I just felt like the whole point in the first one was you can be anything you want to be, Michael. Just put your mind to it. And this, it was all pumping LeBron up as you're amazing and you can change everything for you and your family. And
yeah.
it wasn't the same type of sentimentality. It was just inflating LeBron's ego, and I didn't like that.
Yes, but then I thought there were moments where they deflated it.
Well,
And they made
They
some
do.
they made some pointed jabs that I was like, okay, that's knocking him down a peg or two. Well, and he had to have read the script, the whole
Oh,
thing,
yeah,
whether
yeah.
he didn't care or not.
I
only
love the
scenes he
joke
was
about
in.
it's like he left Cleveland, he left
Yeah.
Miami,
but
he left Cleveland again.
Left Cleveland
Look
again.
look out, Lakers!
that was pretty
like
good.
that one
Yeah.
was good. That was
Yeah.
good.
No, there was some really good quips. There was great scenes with the Toons when they were actually in character and being themselves. I did enjoy that, but for the first, I would say the first half of the film, I didn't even feel like the Toons were as good as they were in the first. I didn't feel like the things that they did fit them who we've seen, in character when we watch Looney Tunes as much as the first one did. But my biggest issue with this movie was not only the abysmal acting and writing. Like I literally was in my basement watching this by myself, have not seen anything to do with this movie. And when they get finally sucked into the computer world, I'm just sitting here thinking that kid is going to say, "Dad, look, we're digitized." And then he literally says it. And I'm just like, I'm trying to think of the worst possible line
Yeah.
that I could think of. And then the kid actually goes, "We were just digitized." And I'm just like, that was when I was just like, this is, if I can make fun of the movie and pick the lines for you, and then that's actually what you went with, this is,
it's bad
this
writing.
is bad.
Yeah.
But
You saying you're not a writer, Sean?
absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm sitting here thinking, what's the worst possible thing he's going to say? And I said it out loud
Yeah.
to myself. And then the kid says it. And I'm like, oh my God, I just couldn't help but laugh. Don Cheadle was amazing. I actually
Oh, really?
thought,
I did not like
I
Don
actually
Cheadle.
liked
I thought he
how-
was terrible.
I didn't like him. His animated character at the end was horrible.
Oh, the CG when
The
he
Oh,
CG
yeah.
was terrible.
Yeah.
But I really thought that him playing the villain role and just how animated he was and funny and just I've never seen him play anything like that before, and it I don't know, for some reason his performance was the one I enjoyed
I
the
think
most.
the best scene for me with Cheadle was the Genius Bar scene. Where
Oh,
he's dressed up in the black
yeah.
turtleneck
Yes.
and the round glass. I
Yes.
thought that was actually kind of
Yeah.
funny.
I just
I knew what they were poking
there were
fun
parts
at.
from
I thought
him
was
that I
good.
thought were funny. I liked Danny DeVito's villain from the first one better. I thought
Agreed.
that was
Oh,
was
true.
just
Well,
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and it made me wonder too, because him being a cartoon, that was my issue with. Ultimately, I liked how in the first movie, it doesn't take you long for Michael to enter the Toon world, but also you're introduced to maybe the one element where the Toons come into the real world, but they're always a part of the movie.
Yeah.
This really takes you out of, it's real world for at least the first half hour.
Yes.
And
And
then he
then,
gets
yeah.
launched in.
Yep.
and then it's not just the Toon World, but now it's an amalgamation of Toon World and Warner
Everything
Brothers.
Warner Brothers,
And while the Warner Brothers scenes with the Looney Tunes in it were, I thought, spot on.
Yeah,
Looney
them
Tunes,
collecting them all was funny,
that
but
was
after
hilarious.
that, they don't do anything with Warner Brothers anymore.
By the time you're in the final game, basketball game at the end of the movie, and all of these WB characters are surrounding the courtside.
And they look awful.
They look terrible and generic as hell. It looks
Robin
like
dancing in the background.
Yeah,
All
and
that stuff,
freaking
but
it doesn't look like he looks terrible.
They had Danny
Mr.
DeVito's
Smith.
Penguin. He looks terrible.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, I know you're not going to hire all the original actors to do these roles. It costs too much. You just got stand-ins. That's fine.
But
at
no,
least
it
make them
literally
look right.
looks like it was a part-time
It looked like
worker
a
at
Comic-Con
Caulfield's.
convention.
Yes, that's exactly what it looked
saying,
like.
Yeah, a
They look
bunch
like-
of cosplayers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a bunch of cosplayers
Yeah.
that didn't actually look like the characters.
And then you also, what I couldn't believe was you look at the stands and you have surrounding the entirety of the stands are like Flintstones, the Jetsons. I'm like, is this not a kids movie? Why are they not on the court side?
No, they had all the
Why do we
horror
have-
movie
all the
characters
Why,
up
yeah.
front.
Why do we have
Gremlins
all these
and
adult
all
film?
them.
Like that
Yeah.
doesn't make any
Well,
sense.
And that was my point. I didn't have I didn't have a problem with the Mad Max or Rick and Morty cameos because they don't do anything adult or offensive that could for kids. But my thing was, you all took Pepe Le Pew out of the movie for being offensive and sexist.
Yeah.
But you can have Mad Max and Rick and Morty in the movie, who are way more. There's things in Rick and Morty that are far above and beyond anything that any child should ever see, and they. And they have a cameo in this movie, and that's fine. Like they don't do anything
But
wrong.
you couldn't put Pepe
But
Le
it's
Pew
like,
in it.
how
Yeah.
come they can be in the movie, but Pepe Le Pew can't? That's just asinine.
Oh, I know. It is. And again, it's those kind of little
And
things.
again, I thought the Rick and Morty thing was hilarious because
Yeah, it was funny.
I'm a fan of Rick and
It was
Morty, so
funny.
I was like, that's funny. But
Oh, I
how come?
thought
How
so
come they?
too.
I just was mad because how come they can be in it, but Pepe Le Pew can't?
Yeah, no,
So
I
what,
thought.
what did
thought
you
so
think
too.
of the? What did you think of the Porky Pig rap?
That was another good
I
one.
actually laughed.
There were
Oh,
two
man.
scenes that did it for me in terms of,
It
and I
was
know
bad,
people are
but I
going to
thought
say
it was
I'm crazy.
supposed to be. Like it was kind of
Yeah.
bad good. Yeah.
Absolutely,
Oh,
but there were
man.
two scenes that did it for me, and one of them I don't want to give away because it was great. And it's I'll just say pep talk, but also that and then the Porky Pig rap. Those are the actual two
Okay,
scenes.
I'm not getting the pep talk one. I don't remember that one.
Well. It was the one we talked about during the review. I don't want to give it away, unless people
the
wanna-
locker room scene.
Yes,
Right,
there
yeah.
you go,
Yeah.
So let's just say though that other than that, I will say before I was kind of like it's on par with the first one, but because this movie was too long, that's why I knocked it off the half star. Those moments made up for it though.
I like the first better.
And,
definitely.
and but I would actually say those moments pushed this one over the edge for me,
Oh,
and
wow.
liking it more. I like this one more.
Oh no.
To me, this one's more rewatchable.
No.
Because in the first one, at least
the first have so many great
First one has
one-liners.
Bill Murray.
that's what I was gonna say.
It has-
Bill Murray
That's
is the
alone.
one thing.
Bill
in it
Murray,
that
Danny
would salvage it.
DeVito,
Yep.
the Looney Tunes, and while the writing in the first one is bad too, there are a lot of great one-liners that I felt like this one had a few, but I thought that one had way more. The whole spiel that Newman, I don't remember the actor's real name, but Newman from Seinfeld
Yeah,
gives when he
He
names
was another-
when he names every product placement for Michael, because that was part of the stipulation for Michael Jordan being in the movie. You had to have all those products. So he did it in one line. He's like, lace up your Nikes, put on your Hanes,
Drink your
He's like-
Pepsi.
He said, we'll grab a Gatorade and a Big Mac on the way to the game. And it was hilarious,
Yeah.
just the way it was delivered. And I mean, there's so many, like Danny DeVito's like, I didn't know Dan Aykroyd was in this picture when Bill Murray's like, they're just these stupid lines,
Yeah.
but I'm like, they were good. And I
Yeah.
felt like this movie had like some good lines, but that movie had way more memorable lines.
Well, I didn't like that this one was more about video games than basketball. They don't
Yeah.
really get into basketball at all until the end of the film, and the rest of it is about the video game
I
thing.
didn't
and I'm
mind that,
okay. I'm
though.
okay with it, but I didn't feel like it had enough It's supposed to be about LeBron James. He's an NBA basketball player. Let's have basketball be
Hey,
the
I-
center.
When,
Here's
when
the
are you
thing.
ever going to get the chance to play basketball with an NBA star? That was the joke in the Been There, Done That. When they were referencing
yeah.
the first one.
That's
I
the
like
other thing
that.
that I liked
Yeah.
is they did reference that it was a sequel.
They
and
had the
were hashing
aliens
off
in
of
there.
it. Yeah.
That was the thing
Yeah.
I thought was weird. It's like they referenced the first, but they didn't make it a direct sequel
No.
to the first. And I was like, that's kind of odd that you have the aliens from the first movie make a cameo. It's like you might as well just been like that happened, like make it like an actual.
Well, even Bugs
Yeah.
says a
Well,
line
Bugs
too.
he says something
Yeah.
about like
We need you to save the world,
save the
basically,
world
yeah.
on a high stakes basketball
and
game.
he's like, sounds familiar.
Sounds
It is-
familiar.
Yeah.
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 But it's funny because I thought I didn't mind the video game aspect, in the sense that it
Oh,
fits
it
more
Reminded
culturally.
me of NBA Jam.
That's exactly what
Yeah.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
I wanted to
Yeah.
actually see more of a reference in terms of them kind of pointing to the video game aspect, other than them just like hitting the power ups because it's his son's game that he made.
Also,
I just thought I
Well,
was
the
like,
Warner 3000 bit was. I'm just like, what? I mean, what is the point of this? They
It
have
was-
this.
yeah, it was
they have an
stupid.
algorithm that puts a basketball player into a cartoon.
Well,
Like,
the
I mean,
algorithm
What's the point?
comes up with new ideas for Warner Brothers to make money. That was just his idea of, we can. And LeBron spurned him, so then he got jealous, and I don't know. The whole, like I said, the whole villain
Yeah, but
motivation
to make
was
LeBron
dumb.
in Game of Thrones and all, I know that was
Yes.
just supposed to be
Yeah,
funny,
highlight
but
reel.
yeah, exactly. But I'm like, but what's the? That's not going to make money for Warner Brothers.
no, I thought the
Like,
same
what was
thing. I
that?
thought
That was
the whole
stupid.
idea of Warner 3000 was
Yeah.
just
Hey,
it was so
LeBron
ridiculous
said-
and obtuse.
he
that I
even
was like,
said, this is the dumbest idea I ever heard.
Yes, and I agree with him.
but his reaction did not sell me.
Dude,
it
no,
was terrible.
I'll be honest
His
with you.
face
when,
in every scene.
yeah.
That's the dumbest idea I ever heard. I love you, son.
But at the end of the movie, when he tells Taz, he goes, I thought I was going to lose. I thought I was going to freaking lose.
He went.
I was like, that was freaking hilarious.
That was good.
One thing this movie got right that the first movie absolutely failed miserably at was LeBron actually looks where the characters are.
Yes.
Michael Jordan
Well, yeah.
looks straight ahead at Bugs Bunny that's 3 feet
Yeah.
tall. And in this movie, they actually, got that right. I guess
Yeah.
25 years
They
after.
they just told Michael we'll fix it in post.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all they said to him.
Yeah.
just look.
Just look.
Just look that
And
direction.
I will say that was another thing I actually didn't mind about this film was, I know a lot of people gave them guff about digitizing the Looney Tunes from the cartoon.
But it was a short moment.
But it was short, and I actually didn't mind that. Plus, I didn't mind that LeBron, unlike Michael in the first movie, does get animated. And I liked that for the fact that it was like,
Well, then his facial expressions
exactly.
actually.
Can
He
actually
has
emote.
some. Yeah.
No,
But his voice doesn't match the facial expressions at all.
no, because it's
No,
the
they
same
don't.
plain voice.
No.
It's just
it's
yeah.
still monotone. You
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
fix that.
I wasn't sure how I'd feel about
was
digitizing
better
the
in
Looney Tunes
Trainwreck.
either, because yes,
He was.
well, he's
much
been in
better.
other
Yes.
things that he actually wasn't bad in. That just shows you that the director didn't care.
I
Like,
think
whatever.
I seriously think they just were like LeBron be LeBron, just
Yeah.
like Michael was Michael, or maybe they even said don't upstage Michael, and so he acted as bad as Michael did.
Well, he can't. No, he can't upstage Michael, just in career alone.
No, absolutely.
Just saying.
That's true.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh.
There's gonna be people out there
LeBron
that are
ain't the
like,
GOAT.
there's gonna be
No.
people
LeBron
out
ain't
there
the GOAT.
that hate me.
LeBron is trash.
But speaking of
I
the
was
goat,
hoping they would
though,
make a
This
flop.
actually, it kind of makes me think: is this going to be Warner Brothers' new thing now? We've got Space Jam, we've got the new legacy now. Are we going to have
I hope to
Tom
God
Brady?
not.
Are we going to have?
Well, that's
Are
what
we
they
going to
wanted.
have
No.
another Space Jam with the next big NBA star?
That's
20
what it
years
was
from now?
originally
like,
supposed
is that
to
What
be.
they're just going to do?
They wanted to do that after the first one. They immediately, like I said in my review, they had all these different people that they tried and nothing ever worked out. They originally tried to make a sequel immediately. The producers actually lied and said Michael Jordan already signed on because they wanted to get it into production. And then when they found out, when Michael Jordan refused, the studio was like, wait a minute, he's not on board? No. But then they went with, I remember everybody, because Justin Lin was attached at one point. Ivan Reitman was attached. Mel Brooks was attached. Some of the sports people were Jeff Gordon, Tony Hawk, Kobe Bryant was at one point considered.
golfer.
Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Tiger Woods.
So they did have this idea. Well, at one point they had the idea for Spy Jam with Jackie Chan, which sounds. Yeah. Yes. They were going to make when all that fell through, when they couldn't get any of these
Now it'll be
sports-
about
yeah.
communist China.
When they couldn't get any of these sports people to get on board, they were going to do Spy Jam with Jackie Chan, and that's actually what ended up evolving into Looney Tunes Back in Action with Brendan Fraser. That's how that movie came about.
Oh.
Because it all fell apart, and then they just
Wow.
turned the spy movie into the action movie
that
with Brendan Fraser.
Was Brendan Fraser's
Brendan
career.
Fraser
And
and
that's
acted
it.
better than LeBron.
Yeah.
Well, he is an actor.
Yeah.
I would hope. Now it would
Not
be
all
like,
the time.
let's put
Yeah.
Brendan Fraser on the court.
But yeah, do
Yeah.
I see in another several years another iconic sports person and them being like, let's make that a movie? I think they probably will.
I hope not. And that's
think
the
they
thing. Like
will.
that's the other thing that.
I
Okay,
think it depends
do-
on the success of this movie.
Well, I do want to give the original a
is
leg
being
up.
successful.
It's been successful.
I
yeah.
guess I can't fully say that this Space Jam is better than the first, only because the first was the original. And the fact is I at least as much of it as was a promotional film, just to harp off of or piggyback off
Looney
of Michael
Tunes,
MJ's
and then
career.
the legacy of Michael Jordan is just something that's a lot different. I mean, not to knock LeBron's accomplishments because he has accomplished a lot, but he just doesn't have the same. People aren't like. I mean, he has fans. Don't get me wrong, but he has a lot of people that dislike him a lot too. And I'm not saying people didn't dislike Michael Jordan, but everybody kind of loved who Michael Jordan was, whether you were a Chicago Bull fan or not. I don't feel like LeBron has the same.
His name was bigger than the game.
Yes,
is what made the game worth talking about.
Yes,
and throughout all of the night, it put the NBA back on the map as far as something that was a hot commodity. Whereas LeBron, I feel like, especially people talk about the way the game has changed anyway. And trust me, I'm by far not an NBA fan or watch the games at all. But I will say that, apart from his own political opinions that he puts out there in the public,
LeBron's a lot more polarizing a figure than Michael Jordan
absolutely,
ever was.
And he's more of an activist player. And I watched, I'm sorry, I hate to say it, biased as I may be, I saw the documentary on Netflix that they had, that ESPN, or no, it wasn't even ESPN, it was just the docuseries about Michael Jordan, The Last Dance, and it was amazing. And I hate to say it, but it was like that made me respect him even more. Yeah, because his whole entire he was all about, I want to be the best, and that's what I'm going out there to prove, and I'm making sure I prove it on the court. And as far as my other stuff in my personal life, that's my private life.
Yeah,
I've got those who are close to me, but I'm not trying to prove anything to anybody other than that I'm the greatest basketball player ever. And that's where I think LeBron and so many of this world of entertainment, they get it wrong today.
I think there's just a lot more today. Not just LeBron, but a lot of celebrities today are just a lot more conceited. And I mean, I think as each generation goes on, you see that. I think like stars from the past, it's not that they weren't full of themselves. Of course they were. You're in Hollywood, you're going to be. Yeah. But I feel like
you have to have a certain amount of hubris.
Yes.
To at least get out there on the big screen.
Michael Jordan was in a time before social media where your private life could remain your private life.
True.
And I feel like now, I'm not giving LeBron an out or anything like that, but when you are in a much more social media oriented and the news media, like you don't have a private life if you're a celebrity.
Right. Well, I think it's
so
hard.
You've got to hold up.
I think it's hard to resist that pressure.
Yeah.
It's just hard
it's
to.
still up to you to choose what that image is going to be. But I think LeBron's made poor choices in that regard. But again, it's not really possible for him to have the same amount of privacy and low key off the court that Michael Jordan had.
True.
So,
to an extent, just based on the world we live in today.
Right, yeah.
All right, well, I think 2.5 out of 4 stars for Space Jam.
I think we've said as much
legacy.
as we can.
Yeah, I know we have. We gotta move on. We got some headlines to talk about.
All right.
Let's roll that headlines open. Crazy
back from Florida.
I love it. I love it. This is what I missed last week.
Yeah,
I couldn't do that last week. I tried.
People know that they should turn their volume down.
Yeah,
at the end
I
of
hope
that.
so.
No, they don't.
We do it weekly.
By
they
now
bump
they know
it.
that
Next week I'll do the low and you do the high, Keith. Okay.
Okay.
But,
I just made it. Yeah, I just
like peaking so bad.
Yep. He told me to go high. I went high.
You go high, I go low.
I go low.
Hello. All right, guys, we got some great headlines. We got 2 major headlines, actually 3 that we're getting.
Yeah,
we
got
get into the third one.
We got
third one's kind of cool. Maybe I'll start out with the third one.
Do what you want.
It's kind of cool.
Hey,
I just want to mention it because it kind of fits in our boat.
You do you.
You do
That's
you.
the message we got from Space. You do you.
I'm going to talk about it. We got a new indie film grant that just hit, and this is actually kind of cool. I just want to talk about how it's actually a nonprofit in L.A. that is partnering with Warner Media. They have their own, I guess, I wouldn't say it's a nonprofit, but they have their own foundation that they're partnering with this nonprofit, and they are looking to give out grants at different levels, a $10,000, a $50,000, and $100,000. Richard Grant.
I like Richard Grant.
I like Alan Grant.
Wait. Isn't that's Jurassic Park, right?
That is.
That's right. I knew that one. I got that one. But this grant specifically goes to rewarding any episodic or feature film from a writer, director, or producer of anybody who has been selected for a film festival with their own short film. That's the only criteria you have to have. And they are looking at tons that want to enter to receive these grants. And what I think is so amazing about this is they pretty much said it's completely restrictive, or not restrictive at all, that it's open to just with that one piece of criteria so that many could enter and many could receive the reward of that grant to fund their own production. And I think that's pretty cool that hopefully this kind of incentivizes Hollywood to open up its doors and branch out a little bit more to just those in Hollywood and other than just in the LA area, and actually give out to independent artists from all different walks of life. No matter where you come from, you could have an independent story that's worth telling.
Yeah.
We've seen this in obviously every year you've always got that one little glorified pick. Last year it was Nomadland that comes out of nowhere that's just kind of, you find the right secret sauce with the right actor or actress or the right producer, and something gets funded that, nobody ever would have thought of making or putting money down on. And it ends up being a critical and I think audience-alike success.
Oh, yeah.
So I just wanted to mention that because who knows? Maybe one day.
Hashtag one day.
Hashtag one day, Red Moon will have one of these grants awarded to it. We can only hope.
But do you think that I know you said that it's not, there's no restrictions.
Yeah.
It plainly
I was trying
says,
not to get political.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but it says in quotations,
Diverse.
inherent perspective for equal representation.
Yes.
Innovation is driven by inclusion, and that's reflected
Here's the
by
thing I
artist
have hope in.
storyteller. These are words that Hollywood throws around
Yes.
for one reason and one
Basically,
reason only.
if your film doesn't meet what they wanted to meet, then you ain't getting.
You're not getting the grant.
Yeah.
So it's not open to just anybody.
Well, and that's why I said if they.
It's open to like-minded individuals.
Well, that's Hollywood in general.
Yes.
But this is why I have to say that you have to give them the benefit of the doubt. But again, I agree, Sean. You can't really fully trust Hollywood. But if you go with the criteria that they gave,
yes.
and if you go strictly by that rubric, my only thing would be is you'd be passed over for the grant for diverse reasons, whatever they consider to be diverse reasons.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the only time you could question, hey, I fit the category in the rubric. And that's the other question. They're not really particular about how many of these are going to go out.
Mm-hmm.
But my hope is that I would think that they would probably in a legal sense catch themselves or try to cover their own ass and basically say, well, we got to be equal opportunists and make sure all of these different wide areas get support.
Yeah.
And so they'll find themselves picking out the best that they can, but if they find one too many in a certain category, they'll say, ooh, well, that doesn't fit our diversity standard.
Well, yeah.
Absolutely. I totally see that happening. No doubt.
Okay.
And I just hope maybe, I don't know, this opens doors to other independent artists. But you can't, at the end of the day, and this is something we're trying to course correct here at Red Moon, you can't really complain unless you're trying.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to do. You got to create. You got to be an artist, and you got to create.
Create.
Innovate. And that's what we try to do every week in entertainment.
Word.
All right, moving on to our next headline.
Which one we doing now?
I think we're going to talk about it. Disney Plus.
Okay.
Theaters, NATO. No,
NATO.
not that NATO.
Not that NATO.
The other NATO came out against Disney, trying to throw some shade and be like, look, you didn't get what you were looking for with Black Widow. I mean, because we got the last laugh because you dropped 60% profit in the second week.
Here's the thing. I 100% get the theater's points. They make a very good point. But at the end of the day, if Disney doesn't give a crap and they're very happy with what they're doing, their model, because here's the thing, it mainly affects the theaters the most.
Yes.
So that's why theaters are angry, and I completely understand that. I don't want theaters to go anywhere either. But at the same time, I can't fault a production studio for releasing a film the way they want to.
Yep.
So
It's theirs. They can do whatever they want with it. And we saw AMC theaters particularly do this during towards the beginning of the COVID thing.
Yeah.
It was if we do this, theaters are going under. We're going out of business. And then it's kind of they're trying to almost scare, in my opinion, Disney into changing their model. But again, it's their product. I don't think they're going to.
Yeah.
Well, especially Disney.
No. In their mind, they are making out better this way because, I mean, it probably costs them money to have their movie in theaters. They're making a good amount of money.
And that's kind of what the theaters pointed out. And that was kind of their argument. And they're only saying this based off speculation because they even said, see, Disney hasn't put out their numbers for the second week.
Yeah.
And they're not taking into consideration that a 60% drop in theater traffic when people could either, one, be sharing their Disney Plus subscription with somebody else and getting that $30 premium rental. And they don't take into consideration that usually a premium video on demand rental, back when you could account for that after a movie released from came out of the theaters and on basically on video demand services, you accounted for that being a line of revenue that you're now starting out right out of the gate with. So you can't even take that into consideration in the long run. And they're trying to play this game of it's advantageous. I mean, I don't blame them at all.
Oh no,
because it's a PR stunt at this point for them to be like, see, yeah, they're leaving money on the table. And like you're saying, at the end of the day, if Disney's leaving money on the table, you don't think they're smart enough and wise enough to say
that was the point I was going to make.
Oh yeah, we need to put our theaters back in theaters.
Exactly. Theaters are saying Disney's not taking these things into account, but I guarantee you, I mean, Disney's a multi-billion-dollar company. I guarantee you they're taking these things into account. They're looking to see what's making the money and what isn't and adjusting their models based on it. But they're not going to be quick to just give up this model until they know for sure how it's going to play out. And I mean, Disney said their goal is Disney Plus first. Like, that's their goal. Everything's going into Disney Plus. So they're not just going to – they've already banked tons of money into Disney Plus. They're not just going to abandon it right out the get-go.
No. Well, no, and I don't think that was ever in question.
No, but
I don't think. I think what the theater, they're trying to hold their feet to the fire, just like when they were trying to say, "Well, we'll ban Universal Pictures. We won't show any of their."
But
films.
they're not threatening to ban Disney. Why? Because they
Well,
still
of
want to make
course
sure
not.
they'd rather have
rather
that
make some
small.
than none.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
They made bank off of Black Widow.
Yep.
So not
and at
theaters
the end
so
of the day,
much.
That's also what you have to take into consideration is the theaters have one line of revenue, which is more movie studios putting movies into their theaters. When you're talking about Disney Plus or Disney in general, you have many lines of revenue.
Yep.
And Disney Plus is just one streaming service from them that offers all of their content, and that's a huge source of their revenue.
Huge.
But huge. Huge. Monumental. That's probably too big a word.
He's never used that word.
Yeah. Monumentous.
He'd be like, "What's
massive?
monumental? Is that like Mount Rushmore?"
But no, I do think the theaters have a point. I think that ultimately we will see this coming because, again, everybody's wanting to claim the COVID pandemic. And the way they ended the article that we linked to, it's kind of funny because they're like, yeah, those who are wanting to make shorter theater stays, we hope it's a bygone era of just like the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, of course, because you're rallying for your business, and there's nothing wrong with that. We for one here at Red Moon want to support theaters.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's going to be what makes economical sense. And while I would love to go to a theater and support it, and I'll continue to, if most people are willing to sit at home and rent it on their devices, at the end of the day,
I like having the option. Like, I'm very happy we saw Black Widow in IMAX. That's a movie that deserved to be seen in IMAX. But I'm also equally happy I saw Space Jam: A New Legacy at home.
True.
And didn't go to the theaters to see it. So
yeah, true. But then again, you get that AMC Stubbs A-list, so we wouldn't pay for it anyway.
True. But I'm just, if I had to pick which one to spend my money on, if I was spending money, I would much rather save money on Space Jam than
well, sometimes your house just looks better than the theater. And that's the
well,
case with
when,
AMC
when
theaters.
AMC,
some of them,
when they don't, here's the thing. It may not look better in their theater. I know it sounds better because some of their theaters, they have not updated their sound systems. They've let them go. They just sound awful. Like, the IMAX still sounds good.
IMAX is
but if you go to a regular AMC
40,000
theater,
watts of heaven is what it is.
They just come out instead of Dolby Atmos, Dolby Digital.
Yeah.
It's like first gen.
Yeah.
It's like, look, IMAX definitely sounds better. Some of their other theaters, no.
Dolby Pro
I'm
Logic
just like,
2.
you know.
Nerds.
When you're sitting in there and you can't even hear what the people are saying in the theater because everything's off balance and it sounds like Tenet, but it wasn't designed that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you're like popping heads off of dandelions that are growing in the middle of the theater.
Yeah. It's like, come on, get
It's like
somebody
you
weed eat.
drop your candy and
Gosh.
you bend down to pick it up and there's grass. It's like, what the hell?
Well, or you're trying to walk through and you lose a shoe because it's cemented to the ground because they haven't
So
mopped in
sticky.
there.
Yeah.
I was like, good Lord, when's the last time they've mopped this theater?
Or you got to stand in line at the Coke machine because one doesn't have ice and the other one's just not operational.
Yeah,
I mean,
one's
my
not-
gosh.
one has ice,
One's
but
broken.
it's out of mellow yellow, so you got to go over here to get your mellow yellow after you get ice out of that one.
Well, they have 3. One of them's completely down.
It's
So
like, enter
yeah.
your passcode. You try to just punch numbers. Oh, blue screen. I mean, it's terrible.
Oh,
Come on,
God.
AMC. All right, our last
get your crap
headline.
together.
This is actually pretty freaky, and we're going to cover this pretty quick, but we got to talk about it.
Yep.
It's weird.
Yep.
Deeper than deep fake.
Here's what
Okay? This is bizarre.
Deeper than
Go ahead
deep
and explain it, because I
So-
do have some feelings on this one.
And it's funny because the documentary has positive reviews, and it's only because of how this came to be that people are starting to kind of grumble about it. But the Anthony Bourdain documentary that is out has gotten rave reviews on its basically doing a deep dive into his life, and what he dealt with in terms of his drug use and depression. But ultimately, there were 3 lines in the film that Anthony Bourdain had written in a piece of work he had done, but he never spoke them. So what the creator, the director of this documentary did was put tens of or it was like 100 and something hours, or 10 hours of talking from Anthony Bourdain, just his voice, into these AI generators. And he went to a bunch of different people. It wasn't just one studio that apparently, I guess, mastered or at least worked in this kind of AI technology. But he went to these different studios that he put tens of hours in a voice of Anthony Bourdain's voice into these machines and had them say the lines as if it were Anthony Bourdain who was saying them. So it's an AI manipulated version of Anthony Bourdain. He's now since passed. He's dead. And so you have a dead man's voice talking, saying things that he never said.
Definitely, because here's the
But he did. He wrote it down.
He
so
wrote
it's
it. He just never
technically-
spoke it.
And he did get permission from the estate, from his
Now,
widow,
and that's where I'm like, okay, in
and from
that
the
case,
author who knew him, who said this would have been okay with him.
it was words that were written by Anthony Bourdain himself, and they had permission from the family. So in that instance, I'm more okay with it. But I do think it's a creepy precedent.
Oh,
Now here's
yeah.
the thing. Disney's done the same thing. Don Rickles with Mr. Potato Head, they took his past dialogue and basically cut it up to make new for the final Toy Story movie. But they also had permission from the family, and it was
again,
kind of
that's dialogue that was actually spoken. That's
yes.
not dialogue that
they
was
didn't,
made
They
up.
didn't just make it up. They took
Yeah.
what he had already said and then kind of like pieced it together and altered it to where it just sounded natural. You can't tell in the movie, but it was still things he had already said. So with this, it's like, they completely, again, it's AI. It was completely something he never said with his voice. And while they had permission, and that's fine, it's just like deepfakes. It's like, okay, think how scary that could be if someone does this without permission.
Oh, yeah.
Now they can use your face, make your voice, and have a complete video of you that's not even you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's creepy. I mean, they talked about making that stupid movie with
think-
James Dean. And
Yes.
I'm like,
Oh,
it's-
yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
like, that's horrible. Like,
Actually, I still don't know if they went through with
I don't
that
think
or if
they
it's being
have,
done.
but
it may be done. I don't know.
it's just one of those things where I'm like, sometimes it's just let the dead rest. Like, I understand icons and you want to see
here's
them
Not
the
again,
thing,
even just
but-
letting the dead rest. This sets a precedent for.
Well, yeah.
I mean, we try not to get. I know we always try not to get into the political thing, but what about? I mean, what if you have a political opponent and you have someone fake his likeness and his voice or her voice to say, "I hate Jerusalem" or "I hate black people" or whatever,
Right.
and then that completely derails a campaign, and they never really said that.
Right.
The media gets wrapped
Not
up
just
for
that,
months
even
in
stealing
a
someone's
fake
identity. Like, I
anything.
mean, someone that could. I mean, people already steal Social Security numbers, bank account numbers. Now they have your face and voice too. How much easier can it be for someone to?
Luckily, that doesn't come into play a whole lot with your
No.
identity, but I mean, in the future, it definitely will.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, it's weird because, we're obviously making a distinction between, like, real-life risks versus some artistic purposes. Because, I mean...
Jurassic Park.
While you would
Too
say...
busy figuring out whether or not you could.
Yeah, yes.
I come back to that line so much.
We
but it's
all-
so
we have
true.
to every
How
day.
many podcasts have had lines from Jurassic Park in it.
Oh, that line,
a bunch.
I bring it up a lot,
God.
but I mean, I just think it's such a good line. It's true.
It's
Dude,
true.
no,
Yeah.
there's shit I hear every day where I think about that line, and I'm like,
just like,
that's
it's reality.
exactly what we're worried
We
about.
are. We're worried about whether or not we can do something. We don't think what are the ramifications of doing this.
But you said let the dead rest, and I do have qualms with that because again, his family did agree to it, and ultimately the point of the movie, and I think, and maybe this was where the director was coming from, because I'm not gonna lie, this is intriguing as hell and kind of amazing.
From a technical
standpoint,
yes.
it's pretty darn impressive.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, exactly, I go into that. This leaves a little bit of eerie, definitely an eerie thought of where we could head with this technology, no doubt. But it's odd because I'm like, it's only 3 lines. It's not even a majority of the movie.
Yeah.
And ultimately, he did it to preserve the essence of what Anthony Bourdain, which is what this whole movie is about. So in a way, you say "Let the Dead Rest," but I'm like, well, isn't that technically what the movie is about?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with
it's
it
kind
in
of
this movie.
Okay, this is supposed to be, sharing the last piece of him that we can share.
It's a nice way to honor him, and I'm fine. Like I don't have a problem with this one instance. It's just the precedent that makes you nervous because. In that way, or just like with Paul Walker in the final Fast and Furious, when you're doing something with the family's permission that is honoring the deceased in a way to give them a send-off or something they're recognizing, I get that. That's a nice emotional tribute to that person.
Right.
And so that's where the intent comes involved. It's like, what's the person's intent? Now with the James Dean thing, it's like, okay, their just intent is on making a cash
money.
grab off of a dead icon's likeness.
Exactly. They're literally using and that's the creepy part. This is where I start to trend into, okay, so what happens when say the family and the estate is okay with it, but say a loved one comes to them and says, is there any way you can take this paragraph that I wrote because he came to me in a dream? And he said, "No, I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious." And he
I
said,
can see it.
and he spoke to me, but I just want to hear him say it in his own voice while looking into his eyes. And then this artist, this digital artist, creates this, and like you said, now you have this entire work of fiction that's completely made up.
Yeah.
But now, in a weird way, even though it's fake, it exists in reality.
Yeah. Here's what
Even though it's completely, not tangible, nothing, but you could, just like a video we've shown from the 1900s, we can point to it and say, see, this is real.
Now I'm just thinking
that's freaking bizarre.
I'm just thinking of some poor sap going in and being like, my father never said these words to me while I was
right.
alive.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I love you, son.
Oh, gosh.
It's like, I just wanted to hear my father say this once.
LeBron's kid.
That would be the easiest deep fake. I love you, son.
I love you, man. Love you, man. It's time to go
Sorry,
to
I
E3
couldn't help
camp.
it. I was just thinking, like, it's just some poor sap's like, I just want to hear my father speak these words.
But and then that's the other weird thing is without knowing, because this is what a lot of people are raising questions about. They're also ultimately upset because they found out after the fact. There was no warning before the film or the documentary. It's only after people did some digging and the director willingly came forward.
Yeah.
Because he didn't think there was anything to hide, and it was after he explained.
Like 3 lines of dialogue.
Yeah, and he's sitting here thinking, well, we had permission. Like, this is kind of cool. People will probably be amazed that we did this, and now people are kind of in that. It's that uncanny valley of, is this right? Not only out of respect for the dead, but is this right in general? Just that we don't allow things to rest, or we're vastly. I mean, you think about older day people, or you can't manipulate Martin Luther King, or maybe the voice on the tape is just so bad, or it's like, or I'm thinking of just other notable figures, old presidents of the past. It's like we don't have huge records of them. We don't have a record of Abraham Lincoln's voice or George Washington's voice. Yep. So you can only artistically manipulate that. Yeah. But now that we're getting so detail oriented and the technology is so advanced that we record every aspect of our life, you could literally create in a veil of reality the authenticity of what makes somebody real.
You want to make an Elvis?
I was just going to say, it's leading us down the road of actually replacing family members when they're gone with a likeness and a voice of them. I mean, it's like somebody that just can't cope with the loss of their husband, they could have
Imagine
their
having, like,
husband's likeness recreated.
I'm just thinking of a
Can
good
you
movie
imagine-
right
well, just
now.
like, can
This
you
would be a
imagine,
freaking
like,
great movie?
Yeah.
to
It'd
do.
be like Harry Potter, but it's a technology. Like you just have this portrait, but it's their likeness and voice. That's this AI that just
Yeah.
speak to you.
Well,
You
that's the
speak to
thing.
their
But-
picture.
but-
like, oh,
Yeah.
you're dead.
I mean, it'll get
I
to
don't
the
know.
point where it's like it's not even. You're not like the Matrix. You go into the Matrix.
Yeah.
But
no, we're bringing it to us.
Well, I was
Yeah.
gonna say you'll literally be living in the Matrix.
You
Not
won't know whether it's
tapped
real or
into.
not.
That's the
Now
freaky
there
part.
are implications.
At what point do you get to the point where it's like, well, how can you call that not real?
But I mean, then there's other things like, okay, now say like with Disney and Star Wars, what if they want to make sure they can use James Earl Jones's voice as Vader forever? So
Yeah.
what if before he dies, he's like, okay, I'm cool with that. He signs off this thing, and then forever,
Oh, no
whenever
doubt.
they have Vader, they can
Well, think
they
about
can
it.
Yeah.
recreate
Why-
his voice.
And why wouldn't you do that if they said
for something that iconic? Why not?
Well, and not only that, but what if they told James Earl Jones like, hey, you sign off on this, your estate,
We'll
you're
get this
guaranteed we'll
percentage,
get
yeah.
this percentage in this cut.
Yeah.
And James Earl Jones says, I can support my family
for-
lineage
yeah,
Yeah.
for hundreds of years to come if they want to use my voice. And all I got to do is say this random gibberish like Siri,
Yeah.
and now you record all my syllables and inflections.
Or just
and
take
you can
every
just
movie he's ever
recreate.
been in and put that dialogue in,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
can just recreate it. Yeah.
Like, that's insane. Like, you sell your likeness to the point that, I mean, because who wouldn't do that?
Yeah.
If you become famous enough or iconic enough that you could sell your likeness to fund your family, why wouldn't you do that for years to come? To
Yeah.
know
You
your
don't need
entire
Robert
lineage.
Downey Jr. to play
Lineage
Iron
is-
Man anymore. Some good CGI and his voice, and we can have Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man forever.
It's crazy,
Yes.
man. It's so freaking crazy.
Do it.
And not just us in the movies, but you get a Robert Downey Jr. You get a Robert Downey Jr. We all get a Robert Downey Jr. sitting with us right there on the couch.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be
Man.
freaking nuts?
Yeah.
And
One
he
day,
talks and communicates
probably.
with you just because you want, instead of having Samuel L. Jackson on your Alexa
Yeah.
voicing to you, you can literally have him in the living room talking to you, carrying on a
Yeah.
conversation.
I mean, we could put a
I mean,
chair right there.
and he
that-
could be
and
on
have
our
Chris-
show.
we could
At
have
that
Chris
point,
Pratt.
yeah,
Finally.
There it
I'm
is.
telling you.
This is freaking nuts, man.
it's the way of the future.
The way of the
Way of
future.
the future.
Way of the
All
future.
right.
Okay.
Send
How
us
many
your
times have we
thoughts,
done that
guys.
one on the show?
Come
Yeah.
on, y'all can't not think this is creepy and weird out there. Send us what you think is crazy
is.
about it.
It's like-
all
it's
the
like-
social links at the bottom.
I
of the
can think of
screen.
all kinds of negative things and positive things. It's like, yeah, the James Earl Jones, Robert Downey Jr. thing could be cool, but
Yep.
then all the other implications of making up whatever
I
you
guess
want.
in my mind, yeah, the greatest comfort comes to as cool as it sounds and as abstract as I can think, because I know if I can think it, people are going to do it
Yeah.
down the road. I'm just glad I'm going to be dead long before
True.
these things take root, because I'm scared.
I
I'm
think
honestly scared.
God
of,
will come back and end it
I
all
hope
before
to-
all this
I
stuff
do.
happens.
I pray
That's
to
our
God.
Tower of Babel is like that right there.
AI
This
and
kinda stuff.
sentient,
Yep.
messing around with
Playing,
yeah,
playing him. Yeah.
I think
Big time.
absolutely.
Playing God, just like Jurassic Park. Yep.
Of course, it comes back to that. All right,
Everything
guys.
comes back.
Condors. You wouldn't have a thing to say if we brought back a flock of condors.
I love Jeff
If we
Goldblum.
brought back a damn T-Rex, I'm
hell
waiting for
yeah.
Jurassic World 3.
I
I want to
told
see it
them,
running around Hollywood.
Your neighbor said they went to Dinosaur World, and I was like, "Were there real dinosaurs?" And she's like, "Yes, they were, but they were fake." I was like, "They weren't
That's not
real."
real.
Real.
I was
no.
like, I don't care about the. I would just want science to do it. I mean, we're gonna die anyways. A dinosaur apocalypse it's not gonna happen. 'cause
I'd
it's not in the
rather
Bible,
have
so,
Yeah.
but
the
you know,
dinosaurs be real and come back before we have AI sentience.
True. Yeah.
I can
I'd
kill-
rather have that.
I can kill a dinosaur.
it's like here's the thing.
I'd rather be
I can't
eaten
kill
by a
something
dinosaur.
that's artificial.
I
and
know,
and
like they play it up.
digital and
They play it up in the
unless I
movies.
get digitized.
Yeah. I know they play it up in the movies, and the new one has the dinosaurs in it with mainland people, but it's like, come on. You got tanks, missiles. It's like the army would decimate whatever dinosaurs made it to the, like, they would. Like, I don't buy that dinosaurs would just be able to retake the land.
No.
Not with nukes.
Yeah.
With Chris
They
Pratt
can't make
running around?
nukes.
Jesus.
They don't have the opposable
At
thumbs
worst,
to,
that
hit the button.
See, T-Rex.
I can't hit the button both at the same time. He's got two short arms.
It's like, at worst, maybe the ones that live in the water will evade us for a while because they can get down deep and we can't get to, I don't know. But, I mean, we still have subs and nuclear, we'd still get them.
James
eventually.
Cameron would get down there.
Yeah, he'll
He
be
would
down
do
there
it.
in Discovery Deep.
He's like, I'm in Mariana's, I'm in Mariana's Trench fighting the dinosaurs.
I'm filming for my next 8K adventure.
He's like, you know what's deeper
Oh.
than deep fake?
the Meg.
The Marianas Trench.
It's deeper down here. We discovered a whole species. Those aren't real, James. Those are fake. The Meg. They're just projections. All right, guys, let's move on
That's
to
it. Yeah.
our story time segment. Let's roll that open.
It's story time, where the podcast members tell their stories.
That's right. I couldn't get that one.
No.
I didn't go too crazy.
I
on
don't.
that
Yeah, I don't know why you were doing that one. We don't scat at the end of
There's
that
a
one.
time
We
and a
don't.
place for everything, and that's not
That's
the
not
time.
it.
Not the time to
Uh,
scat.
That's not the scat time.
one. That's how you'll know that I'm an AI. Like that, Brandon wouldn't do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, he would not.
That's
do
not
that.
him.
Imposter.
That is a fake.
Oh, we did. I don't know
Deep
why.
fake.
I don't know why this popped into my head.
Let me test how deep your fakeness is.
I don't know why this popped in my head. Has nothing to do with what you're talking about. We watched Jaws while we were in Florida because me and Kyle were pretty adamant. We're gonna watch Jaws while we're here, and that was fun because we
Yeah.
got to scare the children.
You could have
know.
went over to Universal Studios and seen him.
Well, no, it's not. They
They don't
it's
have
not,
Jaws no more.
No, because they couldn't keep the thing it keeps breaking down, so they finally had to remove it.
They need to
The
get
fake shark.
Yeah.
You know what they
breaking
need?
down?
They
Yeah.
need to get the one from Back to the Future Part 2.
Yeah,
That one's more
Yeah.
legit.
The hologram.
the
Yeah.
Jaws like
Hollow Jaws.
87.
Hollow
yeah.
Jaws.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
All right, guys.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
That was perfect
Oh,
timing.
yes.
That's the
Yes.
reason why you brought that up. That's the
No,
whole reason.
we did watch the movie in Florida, and it was fun because then
I bet it did scare
the older
kids.
kids like Kaylee and Nevaeh, Charles's wife's sister. They were like, I don't want to get in the water now. I was like, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's like it's okay. The worst that'll
Until
happen
you're
is
not.
it'll pull you under and you're gone.
Was there a lot of seaweed?
Yeah.
There was seaweed real bad in
Oh, yeah.
Alabama.
Yeah,
Gulf
there was.
Shores.
I
Or
yeah,
Orange Beach was really bad.
yeah. It was everywhere. Which I mean, it didn't bother me. It's seaweed, but yeah, it was all
It's
over
like,
the place.
it was pretty bad. There was a lot of tar.
A lot of
Yeah.
tar.
Just
I
a
mean,
lot of
tar,
oil.
oil slick.
dead,
on
Yeah.
there.
dead animals everywhere.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
But I just killed them. I just lit a match.
Red Tide.
Lit it up.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Our unique weekly segment, Story Time. Kind of just had one there. A little bit of one.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But, Sean, you came up with this. You want to
Oh, you're
introduce
gonna
it?
run with that?
Yeah, we're running with that.
I was just
It's-
curious.
it's a pretty good
if
one.
you've ever been accused of something that
Oh,
you
yeah.
didn't do.
I think everybody has at some point. But as I was telling Brandon, like, I can't think of anything major. Like, I'm like I know I've been accused of things, but they're all minor things that like.
Mine are all like when I was a kid.
Yeah,
I feel
that's
like.
what I told him. I
Yeah.
felt like it was like he did that. It's
After
like
I
no,
thought about
I
it.
didn't. You
Yeah.
know, and
I mean, I got accused of stealing in school when I was a kid, and
Yeah.
I did not do it, but it was I did not.
I
I
did
did
not
not do
steal.
it.
I have.
I did
thank
not.
you. I couldn't think of any specifics, but now I have one because of see. That's why I like listening to
Yeah,
other
there was a
people
kid
share.
that I went to elementary school with that had a Chicago Bulls ring that looked like one of the legit like championship ring things. And he brought it to school and showed it off to all kinds of people and passed it around to so many freaking people that he ended up losing it. And I happened to be one of the last people that he let hold it for the day or whatever. So like I literally was accused of stealing this ring because he couldn't find it. And the school actually, like, this is how, to me, I think it's terrible. But if it happened to my kids, I would kill somebody. But they literally, like, held a mock trial and
What?
put me on trial. The counselor did, and
What?
the teacher, and
That's
they
so
had
asinine. It's just
they
like
had
just
students.
Wow.
Yeah,
at worst,
they
it's
had-
like we need you to open your locker so we can
Yeah.
check. Oh, it's not in here. That's the end of it.
no,
Yeah.
they held a mock trial.
Hey, they're trying to teach him about the judicial branch.
I get whatever.
I
you
give him
wanna call
credit.
it. But they did.
Nobody's
this
got
stuff,
Schoolhouse Rock
accused
anymore.
me everything. Well, like literally it was maybe 2 to 3 days later. Like I'm getting on the bus in the parking lot. The buses pull right up to the curb and everything. I'm getting on the bus or whatever, and I look down and there's like a bunch of like tissue paper or like it was like a like literally a tissue. It was wet. It had been rained
Ooh.
on and everything. It was laying in the parking lot. But I see this like shiny underneath it or whatever.
Well, you can't
and I
find it 'cause
literally,
then that just makes you guilty.
I literally,
Yeah, that's true.
I literally kicked the thing with my foot and like scoot the stuff over as I'm getting ready to climb up on the bus, and there's that flipping ring covered in dirt and mud and all kinds of stuff, and it's laying right there at the edge of the curb. And so I actually picked the freaking thing up and I gave it to the bus driver and I said this was down on the ground or whatever. Well, sure enough, the bus driver, gave it to the front
He
desk
found
at school,
this. Yeah.
and they were like, one of the kids found it or whatever, and the counselor was like, who found it? And she said, Sean Sebastian found it, and then there it was.
All hell
I was
broke
guilty.
loose. That's
I
right.
was guilty.
You
And,
gave in.
Yep. I mean, my mother came up there and defended me and everything, and I remember the kid's name was Eddie. I remember telling him, like, dude, I did not take that. There was like 4 other people that had hands on that thing after I did, and I'm like in the 4th grade.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, but what the way they put me on the spot and like made me feel guilty.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. Like, after that was over, they were like, oh, he stole it and returned it and all this stuff. I had to like take out the trash. My last like 30 minutes of school, I had to go from classroom to classroom and empty trash cans as my punishment.
Wow.
And I was just like,
get him on that janitor duty.
Yeah, man,
That's how
I
you
did
do
that.
it.
I did it. I thought it was cool. I got out 30 minutes
Yeah.
early. But
it was actually a reward.
yeah, I mean, it was. They
It's like,
thought
I'm
they
gonna
were
start
punishing
stealing
me.
stuff more often.
Yeah, but it was crazy. I absolutely did not take that ring from that kid. And
I just love that you said you were on trial because I'm like, what's the first thing that's going to happen with a trial of peers when your students are 4th grade?
yeah.
It's like, guilty, hang him.
Exactly. That's exactly
what
what
it's going to be.
It
That's so
absolutely did.
stupid, yeah.
But I mean, it was one of those things that I've never let it go. I mean, it's 4th grade. I was a kid, and it was, that school has
See,
gotten
my mom,
better.
My mom wouldn't
now.
have let that go. She would have been like in that principal's
Oh,
office.
my mom. Oh, yeah.
Unending and
Yeah.
just yeah.
Yeah.
They dreaded my mom because that school
They knew?
it wasn't the only thing that I was ever accused of doing at that school, and every time my mom came up there, it was just like, oh God, here comes Miss Sebastian. Like
Yep.
That's how it was, and but that was just one thing that I've never really let go, that I was accused of that I didn't do. There's a lot of things I did do, but I did not take that kid's ring.
It
And
is on
if
the
I-
record.
I'll be
It
honest
is
with you.
on the
If
Red
I took
Moon
it, I would have
record.
kept it.
Yep.
But that's the thing. It's
I
like
think you should have just honestly stepped on it and just covered
And
it in
left
the mud and
I
said
should
it's
have left
done.
it there,
Screw
but
it.
I wanted to be the good guy, and I wanted to find it.
Yep.
And I thought
That's when
I
you're.
thought I would be praised for finding it and turning it in.
Yep.
But instead, it just made it.
Yeah.
It only
You're-
cemented my guilt.
You're
Yeah.
too young and dumb at that point to realize that if you come forward,
That
yeah,
the world
then
didn't
the
didn't
guilt
think of
is
that.
going to just
Didn't
be.
think of that at all.
It,
Yeah.
it's one of those things because you're thinking I'm doing the honest thing, I'm doing the right thing, but the world doesn't care.
Nope.
Nope.
Yeah.
Keith, what
Neither
about
does
what-
Medora Elementary.
No, they don't.
No.
I'm
That's where
name
you
dropping
went
them.
to. It.
No, I went to Watson Lake.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to
I didn't
Eisenhower.
go to Medora.
Judy Finn was the principal.
Miss
that
Finn.
did this.
We had Dr. Young because she had her doctorate. And
Oh,
you
did
couldn't
she?
call her Miss Young because she would correct you back. I'm a doctor. It's like, you're an elementary school principal. it's like no one cares.
Yeah. When it
She
comes
did it-
to principals, you're at the bottom
Yeah.
of the totem pole.
I mean, she corrected adults too, because like my parents didn't
Oh,
care. They're like,
gosh.
we don't care that you have your doctorate. It's like, because you did. If you said Mrs. Young, she would Dr. Young. It's like, yeah.
Those
Yeah.
that's when I'm even more, and I'm like, no, Miss Young. That you now have told me,
Principal Young.
yeah, because now and then it's like, oh, King Brandon.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna do. Like
Yeah.
if we're making up titles, I'm
Well,
just gonna
today
put-
you
Yeah.
could identify as a king.
Yeah.
if
That's
you
true.
wanted to.
That's true. I roll over that.
I can
land.
identify as a
Yeah.
PhD.
Yeah.
If I
Yeah.
want to.
No, I again most of the things is I tend to I'm very good at just things that are in the past that like no longer matter. Just like I don't remember. Like it's like little things like that if I was accused of, like I don't remember specifics, but he reminded me. I'm not going to name names, but I do have a family member, and I don't ever have to name a name when I say that because you all already know.
We already know who it is.
That anytime he has like obviously he has owned things and then those things basically go away because of his lifestyle, but anytime he had like maybe a movie, like okay, I know specifically Rose Red, if it's something he owned and then he goes away and it's no longer like he loses it and then you actually own the same thing that wasn't his. I
It's
bought my
his.
own copy, but he's like, is that my movie? No, it's not your movie. I'm sorry that what happened to you happened to you.
movie.
It's like, did you borrow that from me and not give it back? It's like, no, I bought this. Yours is gone somewhere in whatever home you used to live in that somebody probably has already robbed everything out of. So, but yeah, so it's just funny.
That made you think of
It's
that?
just that
Wow.
he was just like accused of having. It's like, yeah, I have all kinds of things that I bought with my money. That like, is that mine? No, it's
Well,
not.
I just love that thought anyway. It's just like it is. It's
like
I
just-
had
just because-
very few possessions, and even though they're gone, every time I see it, it's mine.
Yeah, it's,
know,
it's like let alone that hundreds of copies thousands of copies of this movie were made, and all kinds of people have bought it.
They're all
Every
his.
one of them. Yeah.
It's like, I owned that. That was mine. It's like, no, it's not.
Well, there was this one time in high school we were making a movie called 26 Years. And I was very, vehemently opposed on this film. And I was constantly accused of being a dictator. And I
that was
to,
true.
I have
wow.
to
Though I do-
refute these accusations.
I can't think of the specifics, but I do remember, I think Nathan, were a few times Nathan would do something to you, and I would get the blame for it. And you'd be like, because Nathan would be like,
All the time.
Because he was like, it's believable. Like, it's absolutely believable that I would have done it too, but I didn't. But Nathan was just that good. It's like, no, that was Keith.
Well, but that,
Wow.
and that very rapidly
As
changed.
far as pranks and stuff go,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that very rapidly changed as the movie went on filming because I realized the terror that Nathan was and the crap he would.
Well, because then the fun
be put
part
up-
was you trying to figure out which of us did it. Because at any given moment, it
I
could have
never
been
knew.
either one of us.
I was gonna say it really would be that.
Be outside the door while he's in the bathroom filming, and he's just like, nah.
It was
Oh,
before the
all
days
the paper towels.
before the days of TikTok.
Yeah.
But no, actually, mine are also as a kid. I don't. There are little things here and there, but I'd say one of them that I can remember was in 5th grade, and it was Miss Austin, not Dr. Austin. So she ticked me off because she was known to be the meanest of the teachers, and especially in the 5th grade.
meanest of the meanies.
And I could have got her back too. She came through my
Should've
subway
kicked her.
line when I was in high school,
Ooh.
and I so could have
you
used
could have
it.
you could have wiped your bum with the lettuce
I
and put it on her
I
sandwich.
could have. Oh, I'm telling
You
you.
had the shredded lettuce though. You probably couldn't wipe your bum with that.
Well, let's just say there could have been some other toppings. Okay,
True.
that ain't no black olive.
It was. It just went through my digestive tract first.
It's like, oh no, that's a new one. That's it's kind of like a black olive and a jalapeno mixed.
It's like
It's a hybrid.
You want a little colon corn
Corn.
on your God.
Like colon corn.
That's right.
God.
Right on your sandwich.
But no, there was this time in 5th grade when I was, I had a huge reputation in 5th grade because I was a hall monitor. All right, I was part of the safety patrol.
Oh,
And
wow.
being part of the safety patrol was a big deal in the 5th grade. But I got in trouble because I was supposed to be bathroom monitor for our class, and that was not a fun gig because that was strictly Miss Austin pinning it on us that anything that happened in the bathroom was our fault. And there were 2 kids.
It's really rather dumb saying you're in elementary
Exactly.
school.
And it's like, so I'm in the.
It's, like, it's not like none of the kids are going to listen to you while you're in the bathroom.
Of
like,
course
it's like,
not.
don't pee on the stall.
Right.
Don't- yeah.
Yeah. It's like, what are you gonna? It's like you're not gonna say anything because you don't want to be ratted out by your friends. You want
Yeah.
to be the cool hall monitor,
Yep.
and you know if you get ratted out, they're gonna get you at some point.
Yeah.
And I was sitting in there, and the way the bathrooms were is you couldn't see in the bathroom, but you saw like the entranceway in, and the bathroom monitor stood in the corner to view what was going on in the bathroom, but also the teacher at the door.
Yeah.
And so as the kids were coming out, you just had to make sure people went in, did their business, and came out. And I remember this one kid, Ty, he walked up to the stall, did his business, and he came up to the sink, and he knew this made me laugh. And he would take the water, and literally he would just be like, "Hey, Brandon." I'm like, "What?" And he'd be like, "My face is dirty." He would just splash himself in the face for like no reason other than a kid being a kid.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, water would just go everywhere all
Did
over the
he have
place.
The deep voice that you were
And-
just giving him.
Yes,
even
that
as-
was exactly
even
what
as
I-
even as a child.
Yeah.
Hey, Brandon.
And he would.
You got this little 8-year-old boy. Yeah.
Well, really, it was a 32-year-old man named
wash
Charles.
my face.
But no, he did it, and I was trying not to laugh
He was
because
secretly
Miss
Gary
Austin
Coleman.
is like right at the door, and so I'm sitting here and I'm just like, I was like, it's funny. I was like, come on, Ty, let's go, wash your hands. And so he was like, hold on, it's still dirty. So he did it again, and he I couldn't hold it, and so I'm like, stop it, Ty. So then he comes out of the bathroom, and sure enough, Miss Austin just gives me this look like, you were supposed to stop him. And like we get back up to the room, and everybody's sitting down, and she calls me up to her desk, and she basically scolds me for
not
him-
making the
for
kid
not
stop
ma- and
splashing his face?
I'm his classmate. I'm in
Yeah.
fifth
What
grade. What am I supposed to
Like,
do?
drag him away from the
Yeah.
seat? You quit that right now.
So she literally writes me up. She gives me a referral.
What?
Yes, and this is what makes it all bogus anyway, and I'm sure it was just some little gaslighting manipulative game she was playing.
Yeah.
She writes this referral and she's like, now take that down to the office and you take it by your safety patrol officer so they can see it. Like I'm supposed to get reprimanded by them.
Yeah.
So of course I'm scared to death. I'm freaking fifth grade. I'm thinking I'm gonna lose safety patrol. I'm gonna get in trouble when I get home because I don't get referrals. And my
Yeah.
butt's gonna be red. So I take it down to the safety patrol officer. And the funny thing is she helped me out, man. She was cool. I love Miss Kim was her name. She was awesome. She looked at it. She knew about it. Was like people just knew.
Well, yeah,
and
adults
it's funny.
know.
Exactly, and it's funny because as a kid you have this ire of a teacher, but then all of a sudden it's like the adults know
Yep.
also who the
They've
bad
been there.
teachers are. They
Yeah.
know who's
Yeah.
got the reputations, and so she sees who it's from, and she's like, "So what happened?" So I explained everything to her, and she said, "Okay." She put it up in this box, and she said, "We'll talk about it tomorrow." I came in the next day scared to death. Didn't take it to the office. I didn't tell my parents. And then I come in the next day. I just go to my safety patrol post. It was like it never happened.
Yeah.
And I was just like, but it was just one of those stupid instances where I'm like, come on, I'm a freaking fifth grade kid.
Yeah.
And it was just, I think she was on her period that day, and she just got pissed.
Can't
and
say
took
that.
it
It's
out.
sexist.
I don't care.
Yep.
I'll say what I damn well please.
It's just, yeah, it is. Well, that's fun because it reminds me of what Neil got written up at Butler for burping in the lunchroom.
Oh, he was known for the loud.
Yeah, but I'm just like, yeah, he got in trouble for burp because they heard it in the hallway. And actually, I think it was at Johnson in middle school, not Butler, which is still stupid. It's like, you really gonna write up a kid for burping? And I mean, it's disruptive. You're in the lunchroom.
Yeah.
What are you disrupting?
I will say it was my brother had a kid in the same. It was like elementary school. He went into the bathroom, and the kid was sitting in the urinal next to him. They were both next to each other. There's no guard or nothing, and he's just like, "Hey, can I pee on your leg?" And my brother just says, "Yeah." So the kid like straight up just pees on his leg, and then my brother goes and tells on him. And that was it. And the kid got in trouble for peeing on my brother's leg.
I mean, he did say yeah. I mean, he gave consent.
He
right?
did, yeah. But again, as you know, even though you give consent,
It doesn't matter.
it
You're
doesn't
right.
mean that he wasn't going to tell.
Yeah.
So, alrighty, guys, have you ever been accused of something that you didn't do, or better yet, did you accuse someone of something
do
that they didn't?
Want to
do?
make one statement
Okay, go ahead.
based off of a comment. I don't want them to feel we're ignoring or neglecting them.
Okay.
Jacob has mentioned that a very special viewer has a birthday coming up on Sunday.
Who could
And-
that be?
And he wanted us to give her a shout out.
What? Who could that be?
I don't know. I'm not going to do it. Marley, happy birthday.
Marley's
coming
got a
up.
birthday coming
Yeah,
up.
Apparently.
Hopefully,
apparently
she hasn't been watching the show.
Apparently, she was birthed, so she has a birthday. So, you know,
Happy anniversary of the day you were born.
Yeah.
the day you were
The
birthed.
day you birthed.
By your birth person.
Well, you were birthed, not birthed. That would be something
Birthed.
entirely.
Yeah.
Those days are long, long down the road.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Marley.
Mm.
Yeah.
We hope you have a very special birthday.
Indeed.
Neil recently had a birthday.
He did.
He did.
His was last week,
Same.
wasn't
Yeah,
it?
same. His birthday's on 17th. No, did I get that right?
Yeah, that's right.
17th.
17th, yeah.
Yeah.
And we celebrated yours last week.
I know his is always close because me and him used to do like the double movie thing on our birthdays when he lived here and
That's right.
didn't abandon me for
Aw.
Boston, and now we can't do that anymore.
Remotely.
So, yeah.
COVID numbers,
Yeah.
you know. That you
remember.
can do it then.
I remember we saw Batman Begins and Mr. and Mrs. Smith. It was the first time we ever did it, and then we just kept doing it every year after that.
Nice.
It was actually pretty good. It was
That
a nice
actually
little
is a cool
lineup.
double feature. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I've
Because
only
I
ever done
remember
that once.
Dark Knight, we did that in Hellboy 2, and that was actually
Ooh,
really awesome.
I
That
just
was a
thought of
good one.
another story time. Next story time.
Yeah?
A time you did a double feature.
Okay.
We could talk about that.
Okay.
That'd be good. That'd be
I
good
just
memories.
did, but I'll
Well,
mention it again.
We'll go into more deeper detail. Alrighty, guys, that's going to do it for this week on the Red Moon Podcast. All the social right there at the bottom of the screen. Yeah. Red Moon Book, Red Moon Tweet, Red Moon Pics, and search for Red Moon Productions on YouTube. Keith, I just wanted to see that face again.
Yeah.
Or
RM Podcast at redmoonproductions.com.
Oh my god, that's terrifying.
I full cigar and a cup of coffee.
That
I'm
was,
just good
that
to
was
go.
like Danny DeVito's penguin right there.
Yeah.
I mean, really,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
you get a week off, and that's what we're
yeah,
getting
from the side. It
Now I just
actually
need to
kinda
bite
looked like it.
Christopher Walken's nose.
Honestly, I think
you bit my nose.
I think we need to take
Right
more
on the-
weeks off. We
right
have
on the
better
schnoz.
shows.
I did rewatch the Michael Keaton, the first one with Jack Nicholson. Now,
Oh,
now I
hell
really
yeah.
want to rewatch Batman Returns because
Yes.
both of those movies are still
Yes.
great.
Christmas
Still great.
movie, by the way.
Yes, it is one of the best Christmas movies.
Absolutely.
along
Okay.
with Die Hard.
No question.
and Gremlins.
And Gremlins.
Alrighty, guys, that is going to do it for this episode right there. The email's at the bottom of your screen, rmpodcast@redmoonproductions.com. Until next time, I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
And okay.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.